Tonight on The Buzz, we begin with Zane Pond. Zane is a successful LA-based comedian who likes to push creative limits in his act, but he only recently came to LA. Tonight, we talk with him about what it takes to create a successful career as a comic. Next, we return to Club Nokia and the Geekie Awards with two more interviews. Our reporter, Madison Mills, talks with actors Cas Anvar and the legendary Richard Hatch. Next, Larry O'Connor is the founder and CEO of Otherworld Computing. Tonight, Larry joins us to announce two new products and to explain how to maximize the life of an older laptop computer. All this, plus a Buzz flashback tech talk with Michael Kamas and Randi Altman's perspective on the news. The Buzz starts now.
Tonight's digital production Buzz is brought to you by Otherworld Computing at MacSales.com. And by ZenData at ZenData.com.
Since the dawn of digital filmmaking,
authoritative.
One show serves a worldwide network of media professionals.
Current.
Uniting industry experts,
Production.
filmmakers,
Post-production.
and content creators around the planet.
Distribution.
From the media capital of the world in Los Angeles, California, the Digital Production Buzz goes live now.
And welcome to the Digital Production Buzz, the world's longest-running podcast for creative content producers covering media production, post-production, and marketing around the world. Good to have you with us. Michael, the big news this week is the release of the 10.11.1 update, the first .1 release for El Capitan.
Really?
Came out yesterday.
Really?
So the question I've got for you is...
Where was I?
You were napping.
Yeah, but I haven't updated. You know, it's because I have work on my computer.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. When should people upgrade? Should they upgrade to El Capitan now?
Haven't
or should
you
they
always
wait?
said wait about at least 6 weeks to even longer?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's at least how long I wait.
But nobody listens to me. They all listen to you. So
But I listen to you, so I haven't. I'm the only one who listens to you. No, I haven't updated yet.
Yeah, I haven't either. My feeling is it doesn't
And I'm
hurt
hearing
to
too
wait.
many. In fact, I think we're talking to Larry at
O'Connor.
OWC, Larry O'Connor today, and there's some problems there with some external hard drives.
A big problem, not external hard drive, but with RAIDs.
Oh, with RAIDs.
With
Okay.
RAIDs. And we're going to talk to Larry in the third segment specifically about some problems between El Capitan and the RAIDs.
And there's a lot of problems with plugins with Final Cut Pro 10 and with Adobe Premiere. And in fact, I haven't heard anything from Adobe Premiere as far as whether you should upgrade to El Capitan or not. In fact, the last time I heard, no, don't upgrade.
I would say that's probably a safe thing. It doesn't. There's no new functionality you get in Premiere or Avid or Final Cut by moving to the latest version. And my feeling is wait at least 3 months.
You get a different looking font.
If you're a fan of San Francisco,
Yes.
It's a wonderful font.
Yes. Who was it, Megan, that said, it hurts my eyes? What she said. Or it hurts her eyes going back and forth.
Between the two.
Right, Megan? See? Told you. Give me the thumbs up.
You know, the thing I like about you is that you are so font specific. Just your knowledge of this stuff is amazing.
Thank you, Larry. We should do a whole hour on this. All right.
Before we move to our first interview, I want to remind you to subscribe to our free weekly show newsletter at digitalproductionbuzz.com. This gives you an inside look at both the buzz and the industry, plus quick links to all the different segments on the show. The newsletter's free, and we release a new issue every Friday. Mike and I will be back with Zane Pond right after Randi Altman's perspective on the news.
This is Randi Altman's perspective.
Randi Altman has been covering the post-production industry for more than 20 years. She's currently the editor-in-chief of her own website at postperspective.com. Randi, welcome back. It is good to see you.
Hi, Larry. It's good to be back.
Well, I've missed you these last couple of weeks as you've been off busy covering the world and writing incredibly great stories. But let's get back into it. What's the news this week?
Well, the news is one of the things I'm busy preparing for is SMPTE, which is happening next week out in LA in your neck of the woods. So that is it's kind of a big deal. It's where all these engineers come and gather, and there are tons of sessions. There's also an exhibit floor, but this year they're celebrating 100 years in existence, and their relationship with the HPA has also been cemented further. So you've got this organization that focuses on technology and this other one that sort of focuses on the creativity. So they're sort of merging together, and I think that shows up in some of the conferences that they're going to be presenting at the show. The first day, and I think you're going to want to be there, is it's all about virtual reality and augmented reality and how that affects how the production and post workflows need to be adjusted, and also delivery, all angles of VR and AR. And then the following days, more traditional type of engineering conferences. They're talking about compression, they're talking about UHD, HDR, especially color, and how that affects all of that. So it's going to be a good show.
Well, SMPTE, which is the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers, is very much an engineering group, and HPA, which is the Hollywood Post Association, or Hollywood Post Alliance, I guess it is really focused on the process of editing. Where do they see the synergies between the two?
Well, it's more than just editing, too. It's the whole creative process. And they do also have technology awards, which sort of help creatives be more creative, takes the technology out of it and just lets them do their work. So they feel that this is a perfect combination of engineering and creativity. So going forward, they have their HBA Tech Retreat that happens in Indian Wells down in the Palm Springs area in February, and that is also pretty intensive with technology but also creativity type panels.
Well, thinking about this, the HPA really represents the high end of the post market. These are people that are editing all the A-level films. What's happening in the industry to help mentor youngsters, to help them get started and join the ranks of A-list editors?
Well, there are a couple of different things that are going on right now. One is, and I think I've mentioned this on the show before, the Blue Collar Post Collective, which is an organization that has it's grassroots. It started in New York, and it is young people that might not be able to attend a SMPTE or an HBA Tech Retreat. So they sort of started gathering at places around Manhattan and building it up from there. So that's one thing that's kind of cool. In terms of mentoring, I interviewed the editor Mick Audsley recently. He cut Everest, and he's cut like 12 Monkeys and Goblet of Fire and a ton of other really impressive films. He is based in London, and he and some other filmmakers have started something called Sprocket Rocket Soho. And what they want to do is bring young talent and some of the veteran talent together to learn from each other, especially in this digital age when everybody is sort of in their own little pockets. So they're going to be doing that with a website, sprocketrocketsoho.com, and also some events that are going to happen and get people in the room, teaching, mentoring, just building on that.
Randi, thanks for joining us today. Randi Altman is the editor-in-chief of postperspective.com. Randi, as always, a delight chatting with you.
Thanks, Larry. Take care.
To read more from Randi Altman, visit postperspective.com. Still to come on The Buzz, Zane Pond, Cas Anvar and Richard Hatch, Larry O'Connor, Tech Talk, and Buzz Flashback.
When you're working with media, one thing is essential. Your computer needs peak performance. However, when it comes to upgrading your Mac, there are so many different options to choose from that the process can be confusing. That's why Otherworld Computing carries the best upgrades that lets your computer performance and storage grow as your needs grow. Since 1988, OWC has become one of the most trusted names in quality hardware and comprehensive support to the worldwide computer industry. With an extensive online catalog of Mac, iPhone, and iPad enhancement products, as well as a dedicated team of knowledgeable experts providing first-rate tech support, OWC has everything you need to take your current system to the next level. Whether you need to maximize your system's memory, add blazing speed, or enhance reliability, look no further than the friendly experts at OWC. Learn more by visiting macsales.com today. That's macsales.com.
Zane Pond is a successful LA-based comedian who tends to explore creative limits in his comedy as he performs it regularly at the Comedy Store. He's also a newcomer to Los Angeles, which can be a challenge in itself. Hello, Zane. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
We are talking to you. We are already having a better day than we did before this conversation started. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you, thank you.
Zane, would you describe yourself as an actor or as a comedian, and do you see a difference between the two?
Oh, of course. To answer the first question, I would have to say I definitely identify more as a comedian than as an actor. And the reason I say that is comedy is my way to be free, to let kind of take all my emotions and just put them into words and spew them out in front of people. And when you're acting, you're taking upon someone else and presenting a broader audience. And I feel comedy is definitely more of who I am, and I really enjoy comedy. And as far as acting goes, it's something I've just started to do, and I want to learn as much as I can before I can say I'm an actor, you know.
As you look back on it, what was it that helped you to decide that you wanted to be a performer? What was the triggering moment?
For me, it was, just getting up the courage to get in front of a stage and just get in front of a group of people. And I remember the first time I did comedy was in front of about 20 very close friends. I cooked a meal so that I could get them to come, because whenever I cook, people come. And then I surprised it on them that I was going to do a comedy show. And I made fun of all of them one by one. And, some of these are online, some of them aren't. And I just love the laughter. I mean, Robin Williams used to say, he hated performing in front of, just a camera. But when you have 20 people feeding off their energy, there's nothing better than that. And that's what really drives me, is just to take a room and just, and I love going to a show where the room is dead or they're not responsive, and just going and waking up the entire room. There's no better feeling than that in the world. And that's your answer.
What was it like that first time that you went to that room without the 20 friends there? There were lots of people who were not your friends.
Oh, of course. My favorite thing is to see the people's faces who I mortify the most. Because you always see that one couple somewhere in the middle of the crowd, and the woman's just like,
yes.
And I love watching them, because as much as you hear the laughter, you don't really see it. You can only see the people that, you probably piss off the most. But that's the Comedy Store. The Comedy Store is where you go and you just get people that enjoy comedy listening to comedy. And another comic told me once, if you go more than 30 miles outside of L.A., you get a real audience, that laugh at everything you say and they think everything's funny. But in L.A. and at the Comedy Store, you're dealing really with people who love comedy, and you can't just go up there, say a few jokes, and expect people to laugh. You really have to bring your A game, and that's what I love about it. It's like a university for comedians.
But I want to talk about how you move your career forward. So there's a career component to this conversation, but I just want to follow up on one thing. Your comedy emulates Don Rickles, is the first person that comes to mind.
Yes.
And there's a fine line between comedy and insulting people, between making them laugh and making them feel uncomfortable. How do you balance on that line? Because it's so easy to go over.
One of my favorite techniques is to make fun of myself first. My comedy comes as being a young, gay, fat kid, growing up, which is one of the hardest things you can do. And, always seeing the brighter side of things, the lighter side of things, really helped me through a lot of that. I didn't really understand it at the time. But it's all about perspective, and it's about, being able to make fun of yourself as well. If you say something that's borderline offensive, but they think you're just saying it to say it, they're not going to laugh. But if you really bring the audience through your eyes and how you look at things before you do something like that, it really makes them understand it, and they can see the brighter side, the funny side about it.
Were you the funny guy in high school, though?
I was a class clown, yes. I cannot sit in front of 30 people and just be quiet. It's either my ADHD and my knee smacking against the bottom of the desk, or it was just making funny comments because, I can't keep focused unless there's something fun going on with it.
Did you come out? Did you come out as gay in high school and make fun of that?
No.
So you didn't. But you were a class clown.
Well, there's lots of things you can make fun of besides being gay. I mean, there's lots of different things. But for me, coming out in high school was a scary thing. The first couple of years of being gay, you don't want to be gay. You want to be normal. And in high school, especially when you have feminine qualities, it's like they used to tell you guys can't cry. And I would always cry. And I wouldn't really understand why guys couldn't cry. It's like, wow, how is a girl going to like me? How is somebody going to like me if I cry? I'm not masculine. So I tried to project as much of a masculine image as possible. And I really didn't feel comfortable coming out in high school. But the second that ended, I got out of high school, it just came out of me quicker than, a fart after a Burger King.
Awesome.
I want to shift gears. You're relatively new to Los Angeles, and probably the classic Hollywood story is they come to L.A. and they become an instant star, whereas the reality is people come to L.A. and they disappear without a trace. How do you grow a career in L.A.?
You work really hard. And for me, it's all about building a fan base, building a brand. If you do 20 shows and after 20 shows, you don't even have 2 people coming back to see you or 2 people that recognize you, you're not doing your job. You have to leave a mark. When I go up into a show in the Comedy Store, I want to be the best comedian in that room. I want to take a room and I want to take it through a journey. And I want people to feel that. And I feel that if you can do that on a good stage, there's nothing more important than that. And even as hard as I've worked, I still have so much more to go. There are so many people that have worked a lot harder than me, and they don't really understand the concept of branding. And I know that if I work just as hard as them, as long as them, I can go very far.
Can a good joke kill 100% of the time, no matter what the audience is?
No.
Okay.
I mean, actually, I take that back. Do you want to hear one?
Sure.
If Donald Trump was black, he would be Kanye West. Obsessive, narcissistic, and married to plastic. And I opened my show for about a month with that joke. And what's funny is I used to say that before the whole Kanye West, I want to be president speech at the VMAs. I had said that for the first time about a week before that. And that joke always kills. But it's very rare that you same joke. I mean, I remember I did 2 shows in the main room about 2 months ago. And the first one I did, I had the entire room under my spell. And the second one that I did, I only got about half the room. Same set, same thing, different audiences.
Yeah.
And it's really important to understand your audience before you go on stage.
It is so hard being a comedian. It is so hard. I mean, those nights where you're just going to kill, and the other nights where you're just going to die. I
remember I bomb sometimes. Everybody bombs. The key is just like anything else in this life. You can fall hard. You can fall soft. But if you don't get back up and keep going, no one cares. No one cares. Seriously, I think I bombed last Saturday in a show. I just went off and I insulted everyone. And got about 2 minutes of laughter, and then I started relating L.A. to Vietnam.
This must have been in Orange County.
And after that joke, the crowd turned on me. And for the rest of the show, I had like dead silence. And, I got off stage. I drink. If I bomb, took my shot of Fireball. I went back up and I said, now I know what I need to work on. The last 2.5 minutes of that set. And if I work on that last 2.5 minutes, I won't have to do this again.
Man, you picked a tough life.
Yeah, it is. So let's go back to your career again. Is it, when you're marketing yourself, is what you do on stage most important, or is it positioning yourself to get the next gig? How does a comedian get themselves started?
You bring people to shows. That, or you do countless numbers of open mics. I mean, I have friends that do 10, 15 open mics a week. They can't get booked at the Comedy Store because they're newcomers and they don't know how to bring people. And a lot of comics hate on it. But the truth is, if you have a crowd of people that love you enough to come out every week and see you, that tells you something. And it also shows the Comedy Store something, because it shows, hey, you can build something. If I've only been doing this 3 months and I can bring 10 people to every show, I did a show in the main room, I brought 20 people. I think I brought more than anyone else in that night. And that's how I like to keep it, because it's money. At the end of the day, it's money. They don't want to develop new people. They don't want to, spend money on you. But if they know you generate money, they're going to want to invest in you. So it's really a combination of being smart business-wise and funny-wise.
Do you have an agent?
No.
You will. You will.
I know. For me, to tell you the truth, I don't think it's important at this stage.
How come?
Because I don't have a brand. The best thing for my career right now is to go on road with another comedian.
Well, I saw that YouTube video that you have up, which talks about, do I sound gay? Do I look gay? That kind of stuff, which is somewhat of a brand.
It is. And for me, I'm a very interesting gay, as you call it. I'm very masculine. But I can always go off like this and be super feminine with you. And I love to do both. And for me, it's a character. And I want to build that character. But the thing is, agents don't want to talk to you unless you're making money.
Yeah.
And the most important thing you can do is have exposure and to hone your craft. This is my time to hone my craft. This is my time to get exposure. An agent might want to work with me, but how are they going to how would I be able to market myself? You need to really find someone who believes in you and wants to invest time in marketing you and branding you. And I think that's much more important.
You know what? I'll tell you what.
Find it very confusing. Oh, I need to age.
What's going to happen is you're going to kill one night. There's going to be that right person in the audience, and that person in the audience is going to take you on, and then you'll be all right. It's just like you're doing right now. You're just honing your craft, and one of these nights you're just going to kill, and somebody's going to be there.
Thank you.
Well, that's the way it works.
Yeah, I actually have had something like that happen to me. I won't say the name or the agency or anything, but hopefully down the road I can work with someone that really believes in me and wants to take me to that level, because there's nothing more than I want to do than promote positivity through comedy, and believe it or not, positivity through insult comedy.
Well, Don Rickles did it.
And he's my idol. He is the one I look up to the most. And I feel he bridged a lot of gaps. And in this generation, we need someone like that.
But I think we all love confrontational comedians. We love confrontation, and we respond to that.
A lot of people, though, especially right now, is racism in LA and political correctness. It's really a big deal.
Yeah.
And it was big back then, I'm sure. I don't know. I wasn't around for it. But now it's really, really big in LA, and I don't like it. And Nobody does. We need to talk more about that, too. I love everyone. Believe it or not, I don't even like white guys.
Neither do I.
Zane, for
neither does Larry.
For people,
I'm speaking for him.
For people that want to be able to join the posse that follows you from one gig to the next, where can they go on the web to learn more about you?
Facebook, Instagram, Zane Pond.
Yeah, go to his Facebook page, folks. That's where you'll find links to his YouTube videos and everything else.
And the person's name that we're talking to is Zane Pond, Z-A-N-E-P-O-N-D. Zane, thanks for joining us. This has been a great chat.
Good luck to you, my man.
Thank you.
Still to come on The Buzz, Cas Anvar and Richard Hatch, Larry O'Connor, Tech Talk, and Buzz Flashback.
If you need long-term archiving for your video content, then you should look at Zen Data. They specialize in providing secure, long-term storage of video content with a low cost per terabyte. The company has a variety of archive solutions that range from external LTO drives that can connect to your laptop to multi-petabyte storage systems using huge robotic libraries. Zen Data Systems will store your content on LTO or Sony optical disc archive cartridges. And with their next release, they also provide an option for archiving to the Amazon cloud. They offer great compatibility with many of the third-party applications used in the media and entertainment industry, including most media asset management systems. Zen Data has hundreds of installations around the world, from Los Angeles to Mongolia. So if protecting your assets is important to you, visit zendata.com. That's XENDATA.com.
Last week, the BuZZ crew attended the Geekie Awards with live reports direct from Club Nokia in downtown Los Angeles. This week, we wrap up our Geekie coverage with 2 more interviews. Let's go back to Club Nokia, where Madison Mills is talking with actor Cas Anvar.
I'm here with Cas, who was a voice on Assassin's Creed. Cas, tell me a little bit about your work on one of the most popular video games out there.
I play the character Altair in the Assassin's Creed Revelations part of the franchise. He's kind of like the Captain Kirk of the franchise. He's the first assassin out of many assassins. He's the one who started it all off. He's a Middle Eastern assassin. He's Turkish, Syrian born, and he's a very intense and very interesting character. I really love him, actually. It's one of the most fun roles I've got to play. And the game itself is incredibly popular. It's every country in the world. It's been translated, and when I go and do signing autographs at different Comic-Cons, I'm always mobbed of all the things I've done. Like, I've done some big movies. I did some Spielberg movies. I've done, lots of television. I've been on Lost before, and everyone's all about Assassin's Creed. It's pretty amazing.
And so obviously you've done great work in the past, but what do you have going on right now with your new SyFy show?
Right now, my big geeky kind of thing that I'm so excited about is this new SyFy series called The Expanse. SyFy is rebranding itself as a hardcore, real sci-fi network now, and they are bringing back sci-fi like Battlestar Galactica type thing. And The Expanse is going to be premiering in December 14th and 15th, a big 2-part thing, and it's based on these novels by James S.A. Corey, hugely popular, best-selling novels. And we've just shot the first season, and I've seen a few of the episodes already, and my mind is kind of blown. I'm so excited because they look so good. We showed them at San Diego Comic-Con, we showed it at Toronto Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con just last week. The audiences were cheering and on their feet, and nobody can wait to get this thing on the air, including myself, so we're really excited about that. And I've also got a big feature film coming out called The Room with Brie Larson, William H. Macy, Joan Allen, and Jacob Tremblay, directed by Lenny Abramson. And it was a tiny little movie that we were doing based on a best-selling novel of the same name, and it has blown up. Brie is getting the buzz for Oscars and Globes and Spirit Awards. Yeah, and the movie, everyone's saying, is one of the best movies they've ever seen. So I'm really excited and thrilled and honored to be part of it, and can't wait for the next few months to see where that brings us.
And tell me a little bit real quickly about why you're here tonight.
Why I'm here is because I'm a huge geek. I'm one of the biggest geeks around. I'm a huge comic book collector, video game player, long before I used to voice them, and love fantasy, science fiction, all of that. And so as a result, they figured, let this geek give an award. So I'm going to be giving out the Best Podcast Award.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I'm here with Richard tonight. Richard, can you tell me a little bit about why you're here at the Geekie Awards?
Well, I'm actually in 2 shows. One is called Prelude to Exnar, which is a groundbreaking Trek indie film. And I say that because there's been fan films of very famous genres like Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, Firefly. Fans are getting together, forming independent productions, and putting together shows online, right? They can't make money, they can't sell it. But XNR is something totally different. It's made by professionals from top to bottom. They've raised $1.3 million, and it is on the level and quality of a studio film. And it's going to be groundbreaking because there's never been anything like this. So the question is, how will the networks and studios deal with something on the level and quality of this? There could be revenue sharing, there could be licensing. It could open a whole new door for how very quality indie productions can take some of the shows like Firefly, Babylon 5, Farscape, that the networks don't want to do anymore, and actually do it under a different business model and be able to put it out there for the audience, because there's definitely a very definitive, very dedicated audience for those kinds of shows. But the networks don't want to serve that agenda anymore. So again, we're here at the Geekies, and the Geekies is all about indie producers, directors, writers, actors, developing a whole alternative kind of network system of raising money, producing shows, and delivering it to the audience, not via the old distribution pipeline with networks and studios, but actually using a whole new process of having a more intimate, more personal relationship with the fans. So we're entering a new day.
Sure. And can you tell me a little bit about the project you're talking about, the new day? What's your new day? What are you working on?
Yeah, I'm working on many things. Right now, this XNR thing I love because I'm getting to play this phenomenal character. It's very well written. The way they're orchestrating the special effects, integrating all the elements of this, what should have cost $100 million, they're making it for far less money than that. But just to watch the business model of what they're creating is blowing me away of what's possible. People don't realize you can make quality projects for a lot less money than the studios do. Again, the whole new industry that's developing right now, instead of making a 2-hour pilot, you make a 20-minute extended trailer, and you pitch that to the networks, to Hulu, to Netflix, to whatever other stations are out there, right? You can develop it, turn it around much faster. It doesn't take so long to produce it. You can test the marketplace, see if people are interested, right? And see if it works. So it's a whole new day, I think, of producing things and opening up a door to all these wonderful indie producer, writer, directors to be able to develop new ideas, new stories, new concepts, and pitch it out there to the world, pitch it out to the marketplace, see what hits, and then the networks and studios look at this, and if they see something that really works, they want to go option it, maybe pick it up. But I think the day is coming when independent productions are no longer going to go to the networks, go the old distribution route. They're going to just go develop their own relationship to the marketplace, build a new business model, and do their own programming. We're in a whole new day in the entertainment field. I wanted to add one last thing. I'm developing a sci-fi project that I've done for the last 15 years called Guam, Great War of Magellan. We're doing an electronic game, a new series of graphic novels, a novelization, and I'm doing a very high-end web series to launch the novel. That'll be coming out next year. So this is, again, we artists have to learn the business of the art, learn how to market it, learn how to put together the business agenda, to raise the money, and be able to put it all together, which unfortunately has never been done in the past. I wish schools taught the full equation of filmmaking. But again, we're in a new day. It's very exciting, and I can't wait to see what we have tonight. Should be a really exciting show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richard. We appreciate it.
Still to come on The Buzz, Larry O'Connor, Tech Talk, and Buzz Flashback.
My focus for this class is not to teach you how to design with Photoshop. Design is beyond my skills, but I can show you how we can take existing images and edit them. And talking about digital photography and still images and manipulating them in Photoshop is what today's session is all about.
Welcome to Tech Talk, sponsored by Keycode Media.
Logging footage has always been a buzzkill before you edit. While it does help you get familiar with the footage, it can be extremely tedious. But what if there was a tool to help auto-log media and, as a bonus, subsequently help to find media based on the actual dialogue taking place in the clip, as opposed to someone's interpretation of the content? Fear not, my logging friends, I've got a great tool to show you. Dialogue Search by Nexidia. Many of you know Nexidia because of PhraseFind, an immensely popular add-on for Media Composer that was shipping several years ago. PhraseFind allowed an avid user to search content based on the words and phrases spoken in the audio tracks of the media files. While PhraseFind is, for now, not currently shipping for Media Composer, its core technology is shipping inside Dialogue Search. How the underlying technology behind Dialogue Search and PhraseFind works is pretty darn cool. Nexidia's technology analyzes the audio tracks in your media files and creates a database of the phonemes in your speech. These phonemes are the tiny sounds that make up every word coming out of our mouths. And because Nexidia searches the database by phonemes and not by words, you have the ability to search for names or even slang. Also remember, a majority of logging is based around subjective terms as the logger perceives the media. Dialogue Search allows users to search on the actual spoken content, the reality of the shot, as opposed to an interpretation of it. Dialogue Search to the end user works in a basic web page. In this basic web page, the user can search by not only the aforementioned words, but also by the other common metadata, such as the creation date or date range, the frame rate, the duration or even aspect ratio of the media file, or even by where the media may reside, assuming, that is, you already have your media physically organized on your disk. Dialogue Search also allows you to save searches or even review previous searches. Great, so that allows you to find prospective matches on your word or phrase, but now what? I'm glad you asked. When your search results are presented to you, clicking them loads them on the same page inside a media player, along with a listing of all of the phonetic results within that file, if there are multiple hits. Dialogue Search also gives you a confidence rating on how accurate it believes the match is. Clicking on the match previews it for you in the media player. You can then utilize the search results outside of Dialogue Search in several different ways. First, you can export as CSV or PDF, or simply copy the data to your computer's clipboard. You can also get it into your NLE by exporting as an AAF or as an XML. Once you load the AAF or XML into your NLE, you can then relink to the media or simply import it and link. I personally like tying this into an automation or asset management system, like a CatDV, or even larger enterprise solutions, like Avid Interplay, Delete, or VizRT, so media management is handled under the hood without you needing to worry about it. Plus, most asset management solutions can generate web proxies to view the clips in a web page and still retain the relationship between the original media and these web proxies. However, if you're more of a do-it-yourselfer, there is in fact a JSON-based REST API, so you can dig into it relatively easily. Dialogue Search runs on a Windows server hosted in your facility. The faster the server, the faster you can certainly index media. Index times of 40 times real-time or better per core are not uncommon. This is infinitely faster than the index time with PhraseFind inside Media Composer, as the speed on PhraseFind was intentionally throttled. Many folks have asked, if Dialogue Search is so accurate, why not use it for automated closed captioning? That's a massive expense. And that's a great thought. I'm totally on board. However, the requirements surrounding the accuracy of closed captioning in the broadcast realm are very strict, and poorly recorded audio won't always yield clean captions. For example, when I was working back in Chicago, we'd often record scenes outside near the L tracks in the loop. No dialogue was ever usable during these shots because the train noise drowned out anything of use. Like the old adage, garbage in, garbage out. I'm sure all of us have seen reality shows where often they need to subtitle what's being said already. Dialogue Search can't really search through that. However, for projects that may involve semi-controlled spaces with clean sound, like interviews or news reports, Dialogue Search is an excellent choice. Nexidia Dialogue Search starts at $49.95 for the software and the license for one Dialogue Search engine to run on one server, and includes 2 user seats and 1,000 hours of searchable media. Each additional seat runs $5.95, and Nexidia has a tiered structure for adding on additional hours of footage, starting at $2 an hour. A good trick to reduce costs for unscripted shows is to simply remove the previous season from the searchable database. No reason to keep it sitting there when the season is over. Keycode Media has a demo server of dialogue search running, and we invite you to get in touch with us so you can test drive it for yourself and even test it out on your media. Interested? I'm Michael Kamas with Keycode Media.
Larry O'Connor founded Otherworld Computing, which is also called OWC, in 1988. Their website, which you may know better, is macsales.com. OWC is both a reseller and a developer, supporting all things Mac for more than 25 years. And as you may have noticed, they're also a sponsor of the BuZZ. Hello, Larry. Welcome back.
Hey, good evening, Larry. How you doing tonight?
Mike and I are looking forward to this conversation because every time we talk to you, we learn something new. So,
hey, Larry, I've always wanted to ask this question. Why do we have to go to macsales.com instead of OWC.com?
Well, somebody beat us to the punch on OWC.com by about 3 years. We registered macsales.com in 1995, but OWC was registered about 3 years prior.
Really? And they won't
Yes, sir.
And they won't give it up?
There's some multi-billion-dollar financial conglomerate that's changed names maybe not a dozen times, but many times over the years, and they are pretty. We attempted, but the long and short of it is they've never been willing to give up that name.
Jerks.
Just don't have any sense of humor.
No, exactly.
Larry,
they only use it for email too, which is like, they never had a website there, and it's like, darn it, oh well.
Wow.
Jeez.
Larry, the last time you were on the BuZZ, we were talking about problems between Mac OS X Yosemite, version 10.10, and SSD drives. Now, apparently, there's a problem with RAIDs and Mac OS X El Capitan. What's the problem?
Well, it's actually hit it two ways. In my opinion, there's always kind of been a problem with Apple RAID volumes on any Mac OS version, just from the standpoint that once you create a RAID with the disk utility, if there's an issue, if you create a RAID 1, for example, if something happens to one of your two drives, unless you've gone into the disk utility and gotten more info on your RAID set, you have no information to even tell you that there's a problem. One of your drives could fail, and it continues operating just like every day until, the other drive fails. So it's kind of, one shoe is dropped, and you'll find out that there's a problem when both of them have gone offline. And that's been for years. Apple has updated the RAID capability and disk utility for more than 5 years. I think it may even be 6 or 7 years. With El Capitan, they actually took away the ability to create a RAID with disk utility. There's still ways to do it with terminal and some effectively terminal line commands, but there is no official RAID support now at all with 10.11 and later. Your current RAIDs continue to. Well, they haven't done anything with it. I mean, as far as continuing to support it, it's not been something that they've really done anything with for years. And any of the current computers they're putting out, they don't have internal bays for drives. There's nothing from Apple's point of view. I mean, there's nothing they ship that they should be supporting RAID on. And if somebody is connecting devices they can RAID, when you use disk utility, now it's a support incident if there's an issue. They're supporting something that requires third-party hardware, and it puts them in the middle of things that I can understand them not wanting to be in. So with 10.11, they just took the functionality away.
Now, I want to be really clear here. With disk utility, we can create RAID 0s or RAID 1s. That's what it's been able to do in the past. If I've used...
Up to 10.10.
Pardon?
Up to 10.10.
Okay, so my question is, if I've created a RAID in OS 10.10 using disk utility, and it's a RAID 0, will it work when I upgrade to 10.11, or does the RAID break?
The RAID does not break. You just no longer have the ability to maintain it. It continues to function just fine, but it's no longer supported volume in disk utility. And if you want to create a new RAID 0, you can't do so with disk utility under 10.11.
So existing RAIDs are fine, but creating a new RAID is the problem. Granted, fine in relative terms, but if you upgrade, you haven't lost your data. Your RAID doesn't die. You're not totally screwed, so you can keep your data. I just want to make sure how severe this problem is before we get carried away.
Well, I didn't recall a problem. It's just a removal of a function. The problem really is notification and disk health monitoring, but in terms of it being a problem, it's just they've taken away a feature that was supported is no longer supported. So your existing volumes, your existing hard drive sets are grandfathered in, but you can't create new volumes, not using disk utility.
Now, to create something else like a RAID 5, we've never been able to create that in disk utility, which means that now we have to have some sort of a software tool that allows us to create a RAID 0 or a RAID 1 or a RAID 5. Do you guys have something that fills that gap?
Well, we have soft RAID 5, of course, which gives you RAID 0, 1, 0+1, 5. It also provides that disk health monitoring, including the predictive analysis. So even before there's an issue that would trip SMART and tell you that there's something to worry about, soft RAID gives really good information, is looking at a lot of information on the drive and how it's behaving to give you a much earlier warning than you'd otherwise get from SMART. Now, one of the, I won't go into too much. I don't want to, how to say, badmouth. That's not even badmouth, but
come on,
one organization, when we explained how soft RAID actually monitored and watched drive behavior and would tell you that there's a probability of failure, they said, well, doesn't that create more RMAs? Well, technically, if a drive is going to fail, it's going to fail. And you could have a drive that's approaching, or is starting to do things that lead towards failure, with still 6 months or a year, even longer before it actually bites the dust. So technically, it increases more warranty incidents. However, for us, we'd rather replace that drive than have a customer, lose data or have a risk of being down because a drive has gone offline. If we can tell you that if there's something going on, hard drives fail. Drives, are not. That's just a fact. Whether it's a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, it's a mechanical beast. You should have good backups. There's 1,000 things we can talk about there. But if there is a drive that's starting to go south, sooner than later is better to know that that's happening, so you can, at your own discretion, of your own free will, swap that drive and not be in the middle of an important project when something actually could otherwise happen.
Now, there's another issue I'm just thinking about. If we've created a RAID with disk utility, can I then switch over to soft RAID without losing my data? Or if I use soft RAID to take an existing RAID and upgrade it so I can monitor it, have I lost all of my data?
No, soft RAID, a couple things. First off, when you install soft RAID onto your Mac, not only will it monitor the drives that it's initialized, that it's actually taken control over, it also will start monitoring all the drives that it has access to in your system. So you get help monitoring even of your solid state drives. So anything that's, whether it's the Mac Pro 2013 or the latest iMac, or it's irrelevant. The drives that are in that system will be monitored whether they're a RAID volume or not. In addition, soft RAID is able to take over an existing RAID. And taking over the RAID enhances its notification and its ability to really check out and know what's going on with the drive, including certifying the drive. And the other nice thing with RAID 1, a lot of people use RAID 1s because data is important. You want to have that live redundancy. When soft RAID takes over a RAID 1, it's actually providing performance on the read side that's twice as fast as Apple's RAID 1, plus all the great notification, all the live monitoring. All the things that are great because it kills me. That Apple's RAID 1, again, you can, the whole point of having a RAID 1 is to have redundancy. You set up, you set it up with the Apple RAID and nothing, the RAID 1 itself is fine with Apple. It's slower than ours, half the speed on the read anyhow. But a drive can fail and you never know about it unless the other drive fails and you find out, well, both drives bit the dust. So soft RAID will take over an existing RAID set. It doesn't have to, but there's certainly benefits for it to do so, and you do not have to start over with and reinitialize and retransfer the data. It will take it over non-destructively. And right now we have soft RAID 5, which is a $179 application. All the soft RAID applications are enterprise class solutions in terms of their data integrity, their checksumming. This is not just a command line interface. This is some heavy duty stuff. This weekend, Soft RAID Lite will launch, which will provide all the great features in terms of the disk monitoring and such that Soft RAID 5 offers, but be limited to just providing the RAID 0 and the RAID 1 support, which covers a large percentage of what people's needs are out there. So to give you, for $49, you have an application that will give you everything that Apple's disk utility previously provided for RAID support, plus the faster RAID 1, plus the drive monitoring, the actual health monitoring, that if you're going to have a RAID set, especially a RAID 0 set, it's to a certain degree, it's playing with fire not to have some sort of real health monitoring going on. And people say, why use smart monitoring? I'd almost have to say that smart is an industry standard, and some of the testing you would think was probably kind of driven by the hard drive manufacturers, because by the time smart starts to tell you that there's something maybe up with your drive or probably up with your drive, by that point in time, you've typically already been having system issues. You don't want to have system issues if they can be avoided. And yeah, smart will tell you it's time to replace a drive, but if that's been after system lockups and crashes and probably data loss, it's a little late.
SoftRAID version 5.1 is not shipping until October 26 for El Capitan. I'm just going to make that clear. Okay.
Well, it's available now. Let's take a step back. SoftRAID.
It doesn't say it's available now on its website. It's it just
the beta. Yeah,
maybe the beta, but it's anyway. It's shipping. It says it's shipping October 26.
Correct. Yeah, it's shipping. It'll begin shipping this Sunday, as will SoftRAID Lite. And there's to take a step back. The version 507 of SoftRAID is El Capitan compatible, but the in-menu notification is disabled. Apple made a change between 10.10 and 10.11, and the 5.10 version accommodates that change.
Do you use SoftRAID, Larry?
Yeah, we have.
You do?
We have 3. I've got an OWC. I've got 4 OWC RAIDs here, and they're all running SoftRAID.
They're all running SoftRAID.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, to be clear, there is a difference between a software RAID and a hardware RAID. Other companies like Promise and G-Tech or even CalDigit are using hardware RAID controllers. Is a hardware RAID?
I'll stop you in CalDigit. CalDigit's multi-base solution is not a hardware RAID.
Forgive me, I'll restate that. Promise and G-Tech, which are 2 well-known companies, use hardware. Are hardware RAIDs affected by this change? Only software RAIDs, correct? Software RAIDs created by disk utility. I'm just trying to get my arms wrapped around the size of the problem.
Well, technically, no one's RAIDs are affected by the OS update. What's affected is an end user, an actual user's ability to create new RAIDs moving forward, under 10.11. And if you have a hardware RAID, you'd be using your hardware RAID box to accommodate the problem. If you're using a software RAID, then at this point, you should have our RAID, software or soft RAID.
Now, you chose to go to software RAID. Why do you like a software RAID better than a hardware RAID?
Number one, it's faster. It allows you to take advantage of, multiple buses. You can create multiple RAIDs across the same solution. It gives you greater flexibility than you could ever get from a hardware RAID. And the other big thing is just the ability to properly monitor drives. There's really not a good solution, at least certainly in the competition. The kind of health monitoring that occurs is pretty well limited to what Smart reports, and you're in the same circumstance if you're just using a Smart utility on your computer. There's better health analysis from the software RAID because it's looking at what those drives are doing, how they're behaving, as well as using Smart attributes to do some predictive analysis and actually identify a problem before it becomes a visible problem. And the other thing you can't do with any hardware RAID, which I personally do, and I think it's just freaking awesome, is have multiple RAID sets across a single set of drives. And if you want a scratch area, you can do RAID 0. If you want to have light redundancy, you can have a RAID 5 on that set. For maximum redundancy and some extra performance, you can do a RAID 0 plus 1. You can do a RAID 1 across 4 drives, and you can do all these different RAIDs at the same time on the same drive set, so you can move your data from its editing space to its storage space. So that's to me is a really nice thing. And the other cool thing about software, when you set these volumes up, it'll allow you to create the partition in a way that is using the fastest part of the drive for the kind of partition that you're setting up, for the work that needs that speed. So you're archiving, and in the case of spinning platters, it doesn't apply to SSDs, but in the case of spinning platters, software will use the outermost tracks on those drives for your RAID 0 portion, and you can use the tracks that are more inner for the RAIDs that are more for redundancy than they are for maximum performance. So you always know you have the fastest part of the drive when you're doing that work. And again, A RAID 5 across 2 Thunder Bays across 2 Thunderbolt ports also provides pretty darn amazing performance.
Larry and
flexibility.
Larry and I at the top of the show were talking about when you should upgrade to the latest operating system. And I came up with 6 weeks after. What do you come up with, Larry? And when should we upgrade?
Well, there's 2 points when you should upgrade. Point number 1 is you have an application that absolutely requires it that you can't live without. Point number 2 is where, actually, perhaps there's 3. Point number 2, perhaps, is when there's a feature that you really want to take advantage that new OS brings to the table. And I suppose point number 3 would be even if there's not a great new feature, there's some things that appeal to you, and you just want to bring it up to date. I'd honestly wait as long as I can to make sure.
Well, we're talking generically speaking, so I say 6 weeks. I still stick with that.
Larry, there's a bunch.
6 weeks, if you don't have to, why upgrade?
Yeah, that's true.
Larry, there's a bunch of other questions I just need short answers to because there's some cool stuff you're doing that doesn't necessarily affect RAIDs. Tell me about this new mini version of the Envoy SSD. What's this?
The Envoy Pro Mini has been a great success. It's a key-size drive, a little flash drive, but it's an SSD, in that small profile. We've been shipping 120 gig and 240 gig since May. Our 40 gig will begin shipping in about 2 weeks. So you now have 480 gigs in this little tiny key-size drive that also provides performance of up to over 400 megabytes a second.
Oh, my gosh.
But how does it attach? Is it USB 3 or is it Thunderbolt or what?
That's USB 3. There's honestly no real reason to kick it to Thunderbolt. It's USB 3. It's bus powered. Use it on a Mac, use it on a PC, transfer data between Macs and PCs with it. But it's great for running those quick data sets between different systems.
One of the other questions is the brand new iMacs that were released, both the 21 and the 27 inch. The RAM inside the 21 inch is soldered in. Can we get more RAM for a 27, and what's the maximum we can get?
Sure. The 21-inch, buy 16 gigs when you buy that machine. It's a nice machine, but 16 gigs is the max. If you skimp at the time you buy it, you can never upgrade it, as you noted. The 27-inch, we offer upgrades. Well, Apple offers upgrades up to 32 gig. We offer, up to 32 gig sets as well, which are at a substantial cost reduction versus, or discount, I should say, versus Apple. But even more important, we offer up to 64 gigabytes. And there's plenty of applications where that gap between 32 and 64 really enables a lot of performance to be unlocked, where you're not processor bound as you are memory resource bound. So these 64 gig kits, which is double what the Apple factory maximum allows, we offer 48 gig also as a option. Really put this machine, take it from a high-end consumer machine and start to put it into that low-end Pro machine, somewhere between that Mac Pro and an iMac that can only go to 32. Only the new model that Apple just began shipping last week can go to 64 gigabytes.
One last quick question. If you've got an older laptop and you're debating about whether to upgrade the laptop or buy a new one, and money does not grow on trees, can you upgrade the older laptop, and what would you recommend?
You can upgrade laptops. We can go further, but pretty much every MacBook or MacBook Pro from 2006 to 2012, every Mac Mini, up until up till early 2014. Every Mac Pro Silver Tower through 2012 has exceptional upgrade opportunities. And these machines, by and large, have never been so much processor bound as they've been I/O and memory bound. So putting the maximum memory in these systems, putting in a solid-state drive is transformational. Things like DaVinci Resolve require powerful GPUs, which is a reason to get a new system. But for everything else, having memory, having an OWC SSD in your system, our SSDs are built for these, built to take advantage, especially the 3G machines, are really specifically tuned to give those machines their best performance.
Yeah, I got a 2012 MacBook Pro in front of me right now with an OWC SSD drive in my DVD drive, and use that as my boot up drive. I got the maximum amount of RAM. I'm ready to go. I'm set for the next 3-4 years. I'm fine.
So, Larry, for people that do want to get the latest gear or find out the latest information, where can they go on the web?
www.macsales.com. And very important, all the videos are there to show people, even before if you're not sure, you can watch the videos to see how easy it is to do these upgrades.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll leave you with, a 2008, a 2009 MacBook Pro with an SSD and a memory upgrade will beat a 2012, even a the 2012 13-inch is still the current.
And Larry, hold.
It'll beat
We'll
those
have him
machines.
defend that
What are
later.
you talking about?
Thanks,
2008 will
Larry.
beat a 2012?
Bye-bye.
Really? Oh, for God's sake.
It's time for a BuZZ flashback. 5 years ago today.
So it's really a production support vehicle and a safe, quiet place to process your media, which is your most precious commodity. We kind of landed on a nice, solid KinoFlow fluorescent lighting system. We have a nice, airy HMI package for exterior lighting. And we have a lightweight, battery-operated LED system that's fantastic new technology.
This was a BuZZ flashback.
So what do you think? Was he blowing smoke? Can he really make a 2008
No,
system?
did you hear him right? I mean, he said something about a 2008 that can make it better than the 2012 that I have right now, with the SSD drive and my DVD drive, with a maxed out RAM, with everything else. Nah, you were wrong, Larry. Don't tell me that. I mean, I spent $1,000 more.
What was he saying was the one? This is a quiz now. What was he saying that you could not upgrade?
He was talking about the iMac on the.
He's talking about the MacBook Pro as well.
I didn't hear that part, or I have the early stages of Alzheimer's. So what was it, Larry? Is this a trick question?
It is a trick question.
Okay.
You can't upgrade the GPU.
No.
So if you wanted to run software which is heavily GPU dependent, think DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut 10.
But can't we have? We're going to have external GPUs.
No.
You know, why not?
The Mac
Thunderbolt
the Mac operating system does not support external GPUs because the Thunderbolt is not fast enough. So we can't do external chassis-based GPUs.
We will.
Hopefully, but not this week.
Not the 2008s.
No. And while Mike is pouting, I want to thank our guests for tonight.
You're
Zane
wrong,
Pond,
Larry. I don't care what you said.
And Cas Anvar and Richard Hatch, all actors. Larry O'Connor, the CEO of OWC. Visit our website at Digital Production Buzz. While I console Mike, you'll find thousands of interviews all available to you free. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter as well. Talk with us on Twitter at DPBuzz and Facebook at digitalproductionbuzz.com. Mike is inconsolable for the moment. Our theme music is composed by Nathan Doogie Turner with additional music provided by smartsound.com. Text transcripts provided by Take One Transcription. Visit takeone.tv to learn how they can help you. Our Geekie Award coverage was produced by James Castle-Stevens. Our producer, Serena Catania. Production team, Megan Paulos, Ed Golia, Hannah Dean, and Brianna Murphy. On behalf of Mike, thanks for watching The Buzz.
Yeah, goodbye.
The Digital Production Buzz was brought to you by Otherworld Computing, providing quality hardware solutions and extensive technical support to the worldwide computer industry since 1988. And by Zen Data, who provides highly competitive digital video archive solutions.
If you'd like to see more videos like this one, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. To stay connected and receive updates from The Buzz, sign up for our free weekly newsletter now. Or you can learn more about us on our website. And thanks for watching The Digital Production Buzz.